It comes naturally to us. Unstoppable energy. We share it. We use it to live better. Longer, smarter. We are manifesting a green and sustainable future. Sustainability is not just our passion, but a pledge. As we realize the potential of our people, we make a promise that we are thinking of tomorrow. NGC, pursuing sustainability at the forefront of energy.
Transition to me, when I think of transition, I think about transformation. And I think this year, 2022, coming out of the pandemic, even though we're still sort of in it, it's really an important space for us to really consider what it was that we were doing before and what we need to do now in order for us to create a future where we actually survive it. Because I think the pandemic has definitely shifted things in a way where we weren't prepared for and we did not see coming. And so transition for me is that transformation in assessing what was done before and then figuring out how can we move forward in a way that thinks about people, that thinks about the earth, that thinks about that relationship between us. And I think the festival, I've always been a supporter of the festival. But like, I think over the years, I have grown to see how critical it was to our development as people like on an island, but also of being citizens of the earth. So I think this year, the festival will be a really critical point, like looking at the different reports of climate change and understanding that being in the global south, what that means for us in that entire change and with global warming and everything like that. I think this festival presents that opportunity for filmmakers, for people who are just passionate about learning and growing, to really sit back and assess where do we need to go for us to actually survive as a people. When I got introduced to green screen, I don't think I was actually a person who was like into like the environment, like understanding, my role in protecting the environment and really caring for it. Because in school, it was just like, there was an environmental science club that I was a part of for like a couple months, but it just seemed boring and not the space for me, which I wish I can just go back and like talk to myself to get out of that mindset. But being in university, I think that really offered an opportunity to be exposed to many different things, and the Green Screen Film Festival was one of them, where I was able to attend the event. So I remembered particularly there was a screening for university students at UE, and I attended University of Southern Caribbean, but because I had friends in UE, I will always be there. And it was a UE Speak, where it was a space for a lot of students to come together and to learn about different social issues that were affecting us. And there was a film that was shown by Green Screen, and then there was a panel discussion. And I think being able to hear different perspectives and realize like, wow, this is like something that's serious. This is something that's important. This is something that young people need to be aware of because we will be greatly affected. And so it really shifted my perspective then to understand what I needed to do as a young person, but also just as a human being. And so being able to coming into my final year from university and interning with Green Screen was definitely an eye-opener, which I would say was different from just sitting in an audience and listening, but actually seeing hands-on what it meant to put on a film festival, even though like I would have just been thinking about outreach and thinking about how to reach young people so they understand the importance of caring for the environment. It was a really unique position to be in, but it was definitely life-changing. I always credit like my growth, that aspect of understanding the importance of climate action to Green Screen, because I've learned so much, and now like even pairing with my work now is a really critical part. So I'm actually extremely grateful for that exposure from university and then being able to intern.
A transition in a film is one of the most important devices that can be used for storytelling. And I don't think people pay attention to it enough. So I'm just speaking like theoretical about what transitions are in almost like a film language. And so like they would say amateur directors or people who now start directing, one of the key things they struggle with is moving from a scene to another scene, which is the beginning of a scene and the ending of a scene. And I might transition to another scene. And while it might sound simple, when you really look at like masters of the craft, they move between scenes almost seamlessly. Like you can't tell when they move from one to the next. So even me as a filmmaker, I sit down and I look and I say, okay, how does this connect? Does that make sense? Should we camera come through the door and move into the next scene? Or I don't know if anybody remembers with Green Days by the River, there's a dance scene where that comes right after the Cayman's throat is kind of cut and blood is dripping, and that transitions into a snow cone scene. So like we had kind of discussed how we were going to do that to connect those two different scenes, and you actually see Shell's reaction to the killing of the Cayman while he's looking at the snow cone. So that's just one example of a transition, and that is just in filmmaking. But I think like if we really be real about life, like we are all things are in a constant transition. We are always moving and trying to move forward, and so I think that's what is important to remember. Even when we talk about from short films to the environment or just anything, that is this transitional state that we always in. Like I always feel like I'm becoming a filmmaker or becoming or who I'm going to be. So it's just constant transition. I think that is what life is, this constant state. So for me, I think it's a very important topic, and I think it could be a very exciting one. And I'm extremely excited to see the types of films that people come up with. I would say TikTok, social media, Instagram, Reels, all these different things have actually changed how we interpret media. So those same transitions with the hand, and it made it more jump cutty. It made it more accessible to do things on your phone, and made it more acceptable. Like you've seen a lot of cell phone footage on your CNN, on your news, on your TTT. So in many ways, like even I do some advertising for companies, and it have requests to shoot some of the stuff on cell phones. They still want the good lighting, but they want to like now introduce. So you see this medium of transitioning as well, and it's changing and is actually being dictated. I suspect in 10, 15 years, it will have like the hybrid ad, like the expensive ad, but everything else is going to be influencers and the same kind of things. And I think it's amazing. I think if people in the short film festival incorporate some of those things, since they have a minute and they did some really cool, almost TikTok style like video, that's within trend, and I think that could actually, be a powerful subject. So, it's changing. Like I am a little older, I'm not that old, but I still kind of purist. Like I want to make films. The TikTok stuff is cool and fun, but for me, but I think that's the difference. The generations, that coming up now, they have opportunity to make these cool 15-second videos or 1 minute. And I think that is the future, and I guess that's transition as well, and the transitions within them are so important because it's like fun dances, fun cool things, and now they get the opportunity to kind of apply it to something, I guess, more thoughtful and useful besides entertainment, besides followers, something that they could be kind of helping to save the planet. And I feel like now I'm excited for that, and I think like the possibilities endless. They could take it serious and try to have a very cinematic approach, or I think they can keep it very, TikTok. And I think as long as the message is clear, the technique isn't as important. As long as there's a clear message in what they're trying to do, I don't feel like the technique will be judged or the quality of it. And I think that's the final thing on the TikTok type of thing. The quality actually don't matter. Because we're watching, whatever news happening now on our WhatsApp, the people send us these crappy handheld videos, but you're sitting down watching that for 3 minutes of bacchanal. But the truth is, because it's the content, it's not the quality of it. And I think that's the most important thing, the content and the story. If they have a beginning, a middle, and end, and they're telling a story, people are going to watch it. The audio could be bad, it don't matter. But if they capture the essence and the truth in 1 minute, which it could be a hard thing to do, but 1 minute could be 60 frames, then I think they have a good chance of winning. So I'm very excited to see these videos. We live in the Caribbean. Like, I love to shoot with natural light. I don't, when I could avoid it, it's quicker, but like, when I think of a lot of green days by the river, at a point in time, we send the light truck home and we just shoot them with the sun. And it's one of the blessings of the Caribbean that we have so much resources. And I just speak on like light, not to get too, but the sun as a light source is such an interesting thing. And one, you could spend a lot of money on set up light productions and all that. Another lights might, be that bad. But I think like it had times we would go to check to see where the sun would be at the location at 7 a.m. And then at midday and then in the evening to figure out what's the best time to shoot there. So I just think I think connecting that to like solar energy and kind of resources we have waves. Like, I have so much I just think we could be doing, and just, even living our lives in a very sustainable way. Like, this might sound real weird, but when I had COVID, I was home in my room for like 10 days. And I looked at how much like rubbish I accumulated because I couldn't put it out, and I was like 4 bag loads of rubbish over 10 days. And I was just like thinking how much plastics I is. So I really think it's about each of us doing our part and really come to that space where we realize the impact. And then you can imagine, of course, by extension, the entire world, or just think of Trinidad and Tobago, which I think is what you're all trying to achieve with this festival. It's like, we are such a small, manageable space that like, we could be doing so much. We could be like we could be this utopia of, from sustainability to clean energy to food production to, just the way we did everything, So I think that's the fight. Like, all of us had to take our part and try to, do our share of it. So I don't know if that really answers it, but, I, try my best to be part of the answer, so to speak. And, where I can save energy. And, and for me, my part is doing, so I actually did a video for, I'm struggling to remember the name of the company, but it was on sustainable development. So, we could each do our parts as filmmakers and try to bring knowledge.
Transition is essentially moving from one aspect to another. So society is constantly changing, we're evolving, like as humans as we advance in technology. We see, for example, going from the Stone Age to industrialization and to where we are today. We see the impacts of what we have on the environment, and we see that we need to make a change. So we're now looking at a more sustainable transition, looking at more sustainable energy production, for example, and making communities and cities more sustainable, just generally speaking. I think that short films are a good way to put across environmental information because it's quick, it's to the point, and I think I'd like to see people use the modern technology that we have today, whether it be, as Michael would have said, in TikTok transitions, or just something quick and easy that really gets the point across and really shows aspects of culture and environmental problems in small island developing states. One of the main issues here in the Caribbean would be funding. That's something we're always talking about. But as we progress and we transition, we see the introduction of different funds and different agreements that can maybe steer us in the direction of more sustainable and affordable energy. So I think we can definitely make use of solar energy, wind energy, and water energy even. Different Caribbean islands would obviously have different capabilities and different resources, but I think as a Caribbean region, we really need to come together to push sustainable and affordable energy, because even though we may not be the main contributors towards greenhouse gas emissions and thereby climate change, we are going to be some of the first to be affected.
Good evening and welcome to the launch of the 12th edition of the region's only environmental film festival. It's the Green Screen Environmental Film Festival. I'm Ardeen Serju and I have the pleasure of hosting you through this very special launch, and special because it's the first time we're broadcasting to a live audience at home, and so a very special welcome to our TV6 audience viewing us this evening, tuning in, and an equally warm welcome to those of you tuning in via Facebook and YouTube. This year's festival is themed Transition, and this strikes to the very heart of an international conversation taking place around the impacts, implications, and requirements of transitioning our economies, our habits, and our culture. And so it's only fitting that we hear first from our main sponsor this evening, the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago, and representing them is their president, Mr. Mark Loquan. Here he is.
Good morning, everyone. I am Mark Loquan, and we at the National Gas Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited are pleased to join Mr. Sustain TT as lead sponsor of the 2022 Green Screen Environmental Film Festival. By now, the urgent need for climate action should be accepted as an incontrovertible fact. In Trinidad and Tobago and across the region, we are experiencing firsthand the devastating impact of climate change as weather events grow more severe and unpredictable. Nations across the world have committed time and again to taking the necessary steps to address the climate crisis. However, the truth is that for most of our plans to work, we need buy-in and participation at the individual level. This is where the work of Sustain TT is so critical. The Green Screen Environmental Film Festival is an opportunity to educate the public on green agenda issues through the accessible and entertaining medium of film. If we can demystify climate change and other sustainability issues so that everyone understands their place in the whole, then we stand a better chance of success. This is a cause that we at NGC are very passionate about. We have an active and diverse portfolio of partnerships and investments aimed at reducing our carbon footprint, expanding clean energy research and projects, and lobbying for action across other sectors. Public education features prominently among our initiatives because we appreciate the importance of connecting people with information. So far, we have launched our very own mobile app, Energy Smart TT, to raise consumer awareness around energy use, sponsored several energy education campaigns for students, and launched our Carry Green website to facilitate research on clean energy in the Caribbean. Our partnership with Sustain TT is an extension of that drive to educate. This year, we are pleased that the festival's focus has been broadened to include 3 sustainable development goals: affordable and clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, and responsible consumption and production. By asking young filmmakers to reflect on these SDGs in their short film submissions, we are inviting our young people to add their perspectives to the conversations around climate and sustainability. Youth participation is critical to the success of our sustainable development agenda, so we are eager to see how they interpret and engage with these issues. On behalf of NGC, I wish Sustain TT all the best for another successful Green Screen Environmental Film Festival. We look forward to the scheduled events and invite Trinidad and Tobago to join us there. Thank you.
It comes naturally to us, unstoppable energy. We share it. We use it to live better. We are manifesting a green and sustainable future. NGC, pursuing sustainability at the forefront of energy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Loquan, for your remarks this evening and for your support for this important initiative. All right, so what do we have in store for you this evening? Well, we are featuring the world premiere of the films by the 8 finalists of the Very Short Shorts mobile film competition, so stay tuned for that. And as for the rest of the festival, which happens over the next 3 days, you can catch a mix of in-person and online events. As you know, this is all a hybrid festival. So from in-person community screenings at Roots Yard and East Yard, to films on demand that you can catch up to or over 40 of them available on greenscreen.film, and panel discussions themed along 3 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So all of that in store for you folks. You can get so much more information about it on greenscreen.film. Up next, to tell you more about the Very Short Shorts mobile film competition and to give you an ethos of Green Screen 12 years in, we have the festival founder and director, Mr. Carver Bacchus.
Hello and welcome to the opening night of the Green Screen Environmental Film Festival 2022. My name is Carver Bacchus and I'm the founder and director of Green Screen. This is our 12th edition and we're happy to be coming to you not only from our YouTube and Facebook channels, but also on TV6. We hope that this helps us to reach a new audience who may not have heard about Green Screen and what we do. So if you're one of those folks who's meeting us for the first time, permit me to give you a little background on what the festival is all about. Green Screen is an environmental and sustainability film festival. What that means is we show movies and facilitate conversations and public education about these issues for schools and in communities. I should mention that this year I'm coming to you from Malmö University, Sweden, where I'm studying leadership for sustainability. Malmö is a city well known for sustainability, green entrepreneurship, and a startup culture. It's one of the most diverse cities in Scandinavia and is also one of the fastest growing. I've learned that Sweden was the first country in the world to pass an Environmental Protection Act and hosted the first UN conference on the global environment. More than half of Sweden's energy supply comes from renewables. The country actively seeks an integration of business and sustainability and is demonstrating that green investment can drive innovation. I'm here to build my technical capacity to lead organizations towards sustainability. The individual institutions that make up our society must be the drivers of change. And they're becoming more and more aware of how sustainability can be good for the environment, for stakeholders, and for their bottom line. But we need everyone to fully commit to this vision. So it's our job to help articulate that vision, help build a plan, and support implementation. And it's with this idea that our focus or theme this year is the concept of transition. I'd like to thank our sponsors, in particular, the National Gas Company Limited, NGC, who saw the importance of environmental education programs like ours 3 years ago and has given us the support to keep the festival vital during our 2 fully virtual editions in 2020 and 2021, and once again for our first hybrid edition this year. Many thanks also to our partners Film TT, Swimcall, and Atlantic, who've all demonstrated their commitment to the power of film through their ongoing support, which has helped us to grow over the years. Please make sure to check out our online screenings, panel discussions, or in-person screenings and our on-demand film program available at greenscreen.film. Please enjoy the festival. And so, without further fanfare, I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's film program and the world premiere of our Very Short Shorts Mobile Film Competition Finalists 2022. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Good Energy News. My name is Katija Ross and I will be speaking to you about energy, specifically renewable energy, and energy efficiency. So let's power into it. Firstly, renewable resources. What are renewable resources? Well, renewable resources are resources that are replaced naturally over time. The use of these resources is sustainable because we can consume them at a rate which does not deplete them in the long term. This type of energy, theoretically, never runs out, and it has many advantages. Sustainable energy produces little or no waste products, so there is a minimal impact on the environment, and it can bring economic and social benefits. However, there are some disadvantages. Its disadvantages are that flooding and environmental damage to an area is sometimes necessary in order to build hydroelectric power plants, which can have negative long-term impacts. Some renewable energy projects, like solar farms and wind turbine farms, can cause visible pollution since they can take up large amounts of land area. Of course, a weather-dependent power supply can be unpredictable and inconsistent. And finally, this type of energy source often requires high initial investment. Now, types of renewable energy include solar power, which uses energy from the sun, and photovoltaic technology to convert that solar radiation into electric energy. There's also wind energy, wave energy, tidal energy, ocean thermal and geothermal energy, biofuels, and hydropower. Now, non-renewable energy resources are available in finite amounts. More than that, these resources cannot be replaced by natural means at a rate that meets consumption. Fossil fuels, such as oil, are non-renewable resources. In other words, if we keep using them, they will eventually run out. The main energy sources used for power in the Caribbean are fossil fuels, especially oil and natural gas. Fossil fuels come from organic matter, which have been trapped between layers of sediment within the earth for millions of years. Organic matter, typically plants, have decomposed and compressed over time, leaving what are known as fossil fuel deposits. These deposits are highly combustible, making them a great source of power. They're typically retrieved through drilling or mining, which is a difficult process. Examples of non-renewable energy resources are crude oil, natural gas, and coal. These supplies will eventually run out, and they have a high environmental impact, especially in the context of climate change. And climate change is, well, a scientific phenomenon occurring as a result of too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which traps heat and causes global temperatures to rise. In turn, this causes glaciers to melt, sea levels to rise, and more frequent and intense storms and other results that can make living on Earth, more challenging. In Trinidad and Tobago, the export and use of fossil fuels is an important contributing factor to the GDP. But fluctuating prices have highlighted the risk of long-term fossil fuel dependence. And now we're going over to our on-location correspondent, Jalan, who will be speaking about energy conservation at home. So let's see. Jalan.
Energy conservation at home. Now, there are many things that you can do to stop wasting energy at home. And no, I'm not just talking about taking a break from TikTok or stop playing video games and all that. It is actually possible for you to not only save energy, but help protect the environment. Power down. Turning off your monitor and getting rid of your screensaver is a great option for you to save some energy. which won't impact your computer. So turn it down. Eliminate vampire electronics. Many electrical devices, if left plugged in when not in use, can be sucking up your electrical energy. Scanners, printers, and even fans, for example, use standby power. So unplug when not in use. By using a power strip, you could easily flip the switch on multiple devices. Light right. LED lights are an efficient way to light up your life, since they typically use 75% less energy than regular incandescent bulbs, and they last longer as well. And turn off your lights, people. When you are leaving an empty room, there is no need for you to leave the lights on. So turn it off, please. Come on. Back to you, Katisha.
Yes. Thank you, Jalan. That probably, you used a lot of energy to do that. You get it? Energy is an essential part of our lives and impacts every aspect of our lives. It's through energy that everything is made possible in today's world. From industries to individuals, good choices need to be made about how we source and use energy so that our future and the future of the next generations can be brighter. And that's it. That really drained my energy. you get it? Oh, okay, I hope you can match the energy of this presentation. You get that one? That one was really good though. Anyways, remember to stay bright, and Khadija out.
You promised me to tell if there's anything haunting you. You leave without saying where you're going or where to. Yeah, I can never take away our story now. I can never take away our story now. We come too far to waste our story. It's our story now. Let's go.
What are the stories we hear every day and oftentimes neglect to notice? What are the conversations that our surroundings attempt to have with us? Production and consumption, preservation and progress. Tune into Soundscapes.
My own, I that greedy attitude. The life God wanted to live was easier. If God to take them, how much fish and loaves, and share how much thousands of people.
Just because things looking bad now, that don't mean they have to stay that way. We can reclaim the affected environment. We here in TNT have so much we could do. Endless sun, wind, and wave that can be converted to power. Transition from today to a better tomorrow for all Trinbagonians.
It's been 2 years since the pandemic. Home gardening and eating what you grow became the norm. Making a nutrient-rich substrate helped reduce my carbon footprint, saving money and reducing my wastage. Composting capitalism and nurturing my mind into freedom. Reaching towards sustainable energy. Rainy days give rise to new ideas. With the sun being so hot recently, utilizing solar energy on this project unlocks all of my creativity and resourcefulness. 1% of charge from solar energy means I have about 8 seconds to get one shot. It's inevitable that the current system of unchecked capitalism is going to end, and we are going to need something better to replace it. So I started with 1%.
There are 7.3 billion people in the world, but only 2.3 billion homes. An average home in the Western world ranges from 1,400 square foot to 2,500 square foot. That's huge. In Western countries, we continue to build huge homes only to implement sustainable afterthoughts. But what if the solution was always here? Tiny dwellings. Tiny dwellings promote community, have smaller energy footprints, and can be just as functional as large homes. In a tiny home, you can read, cook, work from home, and relax, just as in a large home. So we ask, why do we always scale up to then try to be more sustainable? Why not transition to smaller homes and tighter, more sustainable communities?
I am the litter bug. Instead of building facilities such as schools, healthcare, and proper housing, I prefer more factories so that I can get my brand name clothing on time. As sulfur dioxide makes its way into the air and dye coloring slowly flows into the river, contaminating aquatic life so that the future generation has no later use for consumption. My friends and I own bikes, but we rather use our vehicles. Instead of being an environmentalist, we made a decision not to carpool. as this serves as a mitigation method to release little amount of toxic gases such as carbon monoxide, thus preserving this thing all you like to call planet Earth. If you want to live in a world of transition, don't follow my toxic traits, because at the end of the day, I'm just an unscrupulous little bug.
Today at around 3:30 p.m., a truck would have passed by playing loud music, which caused the giraffes, which are within 100 feet of the road, to stampede. Zoo officials had to take emergency steps to calm them and bring the situation under control.
Social media has responded by saying, hold them and walk them. We jamming still. The city could burn down.
Effects of noise pollution causes hearing problems, psychological issues, physical problems such as headaches, high blood pressure, respiratory agitation, racing pulse, gastritis, colitis, and even heart attacks. This pollution also causes cognitive issues and behavioral changes that affects memory and dulls the mind.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, for joining us for this launch of the 12th edition of Green Screen, the Environmental Film Festival. Please stay tuned, stick around with us, enjoy the next 3 days of this year's festival with us.